Hi guys, Aceface here, back with another video on how to beat certain armies. I've had a few requests on how to beat Tau, so I'm going to go through them with you quickly, give you an idea of how I think the best way of playing Tyranids versus Tau successfully. Now Tau are a difficult army to face these days. Their new codex makes them very formidable opponents for Tyranids. They're extremely shooty, they always have been, but they now make it slightly harder for us to get in combat with them, which is quite a hard obstacle to overcome, but definitely not impossible, and they are still very squishy, and they are still fairly one-dimensional, so they're not too difficult to get around if you know what to do. So what's my advice overall? Well, what I would do with Tau is it's all about getting to them very quickly. So what you want to do is ideally pick a very high quick impact army. So you can either go for something that deep strikes in, so going for the likes of Trigons works really well, because they're right on top of them really quickly, and it means that they've got to deal out a hell of a lot of damage on them to stop them getting into combat or getting into destroying their tanks, which are probably their biggest threats, as well as their battle suits. It just doesn't give them a lot of chance to get too far away. So that's sort of the way that I'd go with quite a deep striking list. Flying monstrous creatures will work well against them, but you've got to bear in mind that they do have a lot of Skyfire weaponry. They also have a fair bit of interceptor, and with their marker lights they can bring down the hit rolls quite easily. So going for an out and out flying monstrous creature list to try and get at them quickly is not probably your best way to do it, because you're going to find that they get knocked out of the sky really quickly. So I would tend to go for deep striking units, and I'd also try and go with Stealers would work very well because of their rending attacks, and because you can infiltrate them, and because you can outflank them, and even dropping them in pods would also work really well. Hive Guard are very effective versus Tau, because it stops them from hiding in things, because they ignore their cover. So you've got a decent range, decent strength, that's ignoring their jink saves on vehicles and that sort of thing, so they work really well. Zoanthropes are quite good dropping down and taking out vehicles, even though they're not my favourite type of unit, but they also work pretty well. But you just want to keep in mind, everything that you're taking, you want something that is going to get to them quickly. So it's not worth taking anything that's going to foot slog, that's going to get shot to pieces. Horde type lists are not really worth going with on the whole, because they do have a fair bit of large blast type weaponry that will just knock them out, and they're not going to be able to get in cover because they've got a lot of stuff that ignores cover, so that doesn't work too well. So I wouldn't say Horde is the best way to go. I would just go with lots of stuff dropping as much as possible in pods, and deep striking up. That's the way you're going to get your most effective way versus them. With your charging, you've got to be aware of the fact that everything might overwatch you, so decide very carefully what's going to take the overwatch. Either something that's high toughness that's going to soak it up, or something that you can throw away. So you've got to take that into account as well. It's definitely a consideration. The Doom works very well against Tau, but only if they've got a lot of fire warriors, because they're quite low leadership. You'll take them out pretty well, but quite a lot of Tower, they go with their heavy mech lists. Lastly, you do need to worry a little bit about the Riptide, but only mainly just because the Riptide is a tank, more or less. You don't need to worry about him as a monstrous creature, because any of our monstrous creatures will absolutely wreck him. Absolutely wreck him, particularly if you've got toxin sacks. If you know you're going up against 2 or 3, make sure your monstrous creature's got toxin sacks. But apart from that, you don't need to worry too much about him. Just take into account that he's a tank. He's a moving jetpack tank, but that's about it. Well, I hope that kind of helps. If you've got any questions, anything I haven't covered, then drop me a message below and I'll get straight back to you with any other bits and pieces that I might have missed out. I hope you've enjoyed the video. There's a lot more of these to come. I'm going to cover Elder probably next, because I know that's another one that people have been asking for. Thanks very much to all my subscribers. Thanks for everyone watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It means a lot to me, so thanks a lot. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye bye.